So Warhammer Plus Day is upon us. I've been through everything that's available at the moment, so I thought I'd just give some feedback. Now, this isn't so much of a review as it is just a kind of reaction to the launch. So I went on this morning, I downloaded the app last night for Warhammer TV. I signed up to Warhammer Plus this morning. I've signed up for a month for now, and depending on what happens over the next 4 weeks until it cycles around to the next kind of installment of purchase, I will then decide if I'm going to jump in for a year or carry on paying monthly or potentially just cancel. So we do know that not everything is available at launch. So for example, VIP event extras, we don't have anything for that yet because there hasn't been any events yet. The Vault we'll talk about. The exclusive miniature we can talk about in so much as when we sign up we get to choose which one we want, whether it's the assassin or the orc. What we don't know is when it's going to arrive. So if you're paying monthly, you'll have to do 12 installments of payment before you get that miniature. But the annual payers, the people that pay for a year up front, the assumption is that they'll get their model much sooner, but we just don't know when. We'll talk about the animation. So there's 2 shows available at the moment. There's 1 episode for one and 3 for another. We'll get to those in a minute. In terms of apps, there's nothing to say except for if you subscribed previously to the 40k app, that will just get absorbed into this subscription. So I paid my £5 subscription or $4.95 subscription this month. But what happened with that was when I saw what had actually been charged, it deducted the value of my 40k app, which I paid, which my the cycle came around for subscription yesterday. So that £2 came off of my payment, my first payment for Warhammer Plus. We can't talk about the AOS app yet because it doesn't exist yet. And then we'll talk about the other shows that are on Warhammer TV. We'll lump that in at the same time as we talk about animation. So we'll start with the animation side first. So we've got Angels of Death. We've got 1 episode of that, which lasts for about 20 minutes. And then we've got 3 episodes of Hammer and Bolter. Now, I must admit, I watched all of these and I do like them all. I think they're all very good. What I would say is that I'm most excited by Angels of Death. However, I do have a minor issue with it in that the animation style sometimes is fantastic, excellent, and other times it looks very, very dated. I'm sure that things like the title screens and all that kind of stuff, they look great. Obviously, they were probably done last, whereas the actual animation in show sometimes looks tremendous, other times it looks very, very dated. I'm not a massive fan of the shaky cam, which is constant throughout the entire episode. So that kind of handheld camera style of viewing, that is consistent throughout the entire episode. I can't remember going past a few seconds without that. Having said that, it is true, grim, dark. Some of the content is really, really very exciting. I'm not going to do any spoilers or anything like that, but I think it's a good start. I'll definitely keep it going. Now, with Hammer and Bolter, again, I enjoyed that. I watched the Orc episode, which was released kind of free for 24 hours. That was released on Saturday. Now, that's in here along with 2 others. The Orc one that we saw on Saturday wasn't actually the first of the series. However, I did enjoy them all. I think that the animation style is suited more to the stuff that we see with the Imperium and that kind of thing, less than it was the Orc. So if you weren't blown away by the free content that we saw on Saturday with the Orcs, there is better content available already. So in terms of animation, that's everything we've got at launch. So roughly about an hour and 15 minutes of content in total. So I'm not sure, I must admit, to give a kind of early idea before I sum up, I am underwhelmed by the amount of content that is here. I wasn't sure what to expect, but it does look as though all of those series that we saw that were kind of announced in the run-up to this, it looks as though they are going to be slowly bled out over the course of perhaps even an entire year. So, for example, the 2 series we've got so far, we're getting a new episode every week. I'm not sure. Well, I'm hoping that others will be added into the roster, so as you get, a few more. But certainly for the animation, which was touted as being a large part of this project, there's not very much so far. Now, moving on to the other content that's available, we got 2 battle reports and we got some Citadel Colour Masterclass episodes. We've got 2 episodes of that. So I'll start with the battle reports. I do enjoy watching battle reports on YouTube and that kind of thing. In terms of what we've got here, I would say that the players were well versed in the rules of 40k and of Age of Sigmar. They knew what they were talking about. They didn't fluff their lines or anything like that. There was some very good kind of effects on the video in terms of, some overlay for the footage to make it, if not more interesting, certainly allowing you to identify what they were talking about. All of that stuff was absolutely great. Does it kind of break the mold of what's currently available from other battle reports online? It kind of does. I thought they were very, very good. I wouldn't say that they're better than the likes of Miniature Wargaming, Tabletop Tactics and that kind of stuff. I certainly wouldn't say it's better, but I was pleasantly surprised. I did enjoy them both. They were both good. Now, in terms of the Citadel Colour Masterclass videos, there's 2 on there. There was one, how to paint pale skin tones onto a head, and then there was another one to do with wet blending. And again, I thought both videos were very, very good. Having said that, it is content that you can find very easily on YouTube without paying a subscription for it. But I wouldn't knock the content because it was very good. It was well presented. What was shown was very clear, very concise, and very helpful. So content-wise, it was good. So that's everything that we get in the Warhammer TV app. So that Warhammer TV app gives us all the animation and the other shows. So that's the masterclass, painting videos, and the battle reports. So in terms of the content that is there, I like the content. I think it's good. There's not enough of it. In terms of the battle reports, I would have preferred to have seen something that wasn't based around the core sets of 40k and Age of Sigmar, because it doesn't interest me that much. However, they've got to start somewhere, and it makes sense that they would start with flagship products. However, having said that, all good stuff. Like I say, just not enough content for me. It's a launch day. It's a high impact day. Everyone's going to be looking at it. Everyone's going to be scrutinising it, and lots of people are going to be deciding whether or not they're going to pay for it. And so, yeah, a slight miss for me. However, having said that, I'm saying all this now. I'm recording this about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so I've been using this app for about kind of 3 or 4 hours. And I've watched all of the content available on there that is available so far. That's not to say that today, tomorrow, or what have you, that more content isn't going to be added. Now, what I do believe is that Wednesday is going to be the big days. I think I read previously that Wednesday is going to be the day when new content is going to be added. So it's potentially, in terms of Warhammer exclusive products or Warhammer Plus exclusive content, this is all we're going to get right now at launch. There's lots of other stuff on there. There is tutorials for 40k and Age of Sigmar, and other games, but that's not Warhammer Plus exclusive content. That stuff is already available on the Warhammer community website and on YouTube, so that's not exclusive to what we've got there. The other exclusive content, well, I say it's exclusive, it's not. It's kind of collected content from elsewhere, and that is Warhammer Vault. So in terms of that content, what we've got basically is some lore and some collections of painted miniatures that were done for paint books and that kind of thing in the past. So we've got about 10 copies of White Dwarf, all going back through last year. We have got supplements from the likes of Warhammer Underworlds and other books that have got some lore at the beginning. The lore part has been stripped out of those books and put into the vault. There are numerous other books for mainly 40k. There's very, very little Age of Sigmar content in there, but it has got quite a lot of content. Now, obviously, none of it's new. They are all in the guise of a online PDF. So when you open them, it effectively opens an online PDF and you can read through them. A lot of this content is likely available elsewhere. Obviously, if you bought some of the books where it's got the lore section in there, or some of the games where it's got the lore section in there, you already own that content, that's fine. It is quite interesting, but again, I think it's quite limited. So, for example, I do like White Dwarf. I'm a subscriber to White Dwarf, and I have been for quite some time. So obviously I've got all those books, so I'm not going to sit through and read an online PDF for it. What I may do is I may look at some of that content and print some of that content. So, for example, where we've had perhaps Warcry cards for the Fire Slayers and that kind of thing in previous editions of White Dwarf, I might go to that content and print those cards out so as I can use them in games of Warcry instead of referring to my copy of White Dwarf. So that is very good. There is a lot of content there. I'm not sure how much traffic it's going to get, but that's probably more to do with the fact that I'm not an avid... I don't read digital copies of books and that kind of thing on a very regular basis. Books, yes. Magazines and content with images, no, I generally don't. Having said that, there's a decent amount of stuff on there. So there's 52 different things on there, so a fair amount of White Dwarf. If anyone remembers the Warhammer Visions magazine, which is basically a load of painted content, they're all on there, loads of them. That there's some interesting stuff to look at there, and the rest of it is mainly supplements from other things. There are a few genuine publications that have come out in the past that are fairly decent size, sort of 150 pages. All of it, there's no actual books on there, so there's no Black Library content or anything like that on there. But yeah, I suppose if you are signing up to Warhammer Plus, it's interesting, I suppose, to go through that stuff and see if there's stuff that you can enjoy. So before I kind of sum up what's available at the moment, I'll just address one other thing. I know that there is a certain amount of anger and resentment out there at the moment due to how Games Workshop have treated some content creators. So people who have created their own animation stories and that kind of thing and put them out on social media. All of that content has now been taken down because Warhammer or Games Workshop want all of that content to only appear on Warhammer Plus. So they want that type of content to be something that you pay for and that you only pay them for it. For this sum up, I'm kind of choosing to blank that out of my mind for now, just because I want to focus on the content that is available at the time of launch. Now, what I'm going to do is I'll do a follow-up to this video in a month's time, and that follow-up will be basically, am I going to continue to subscribe? Will I be doing another month, or will I be re-upping for a year's worth of subscription? So, and that probably tells you where I am right now, actually, because I'm just not sure at this stage whether it's something worth paying for. Now, having said that, I have been paying for the Warhammer 40k app, so the value that's on there automatically gets deducted. I would probably pay for an Age of Sigmar app at a similar price. So if I was to consider that, would the rest of the content be worth just a couple of quid a month? Potentially, but I want to see what comes next and how quickly it comes out. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a lot of content which arrived in 4 weeks' time exactly, when people were deciding whether or not they're going to cancel their subscription. It wouldn't surprise me if just before that happens, we receive quite a lot of content in one go. The content itself is all good. The paint stuff is great. I really like it. It is more in depth than their standard painting tutorials. If you look at their painting tutorials from a good few years ago, the standards were higher then. That's nothing to do with Peachy or anything like that. That's nothing to do with the guys that create those videos now. That is to do with the fact that the painting tutorials that they offer now are a little bit more tame, just to allow people to get their stuff painted. The paint videos in Warhammer Plus show something that you wouldn't see on their normal painting videos at all right now. So that kind of wet blending and further techniques and really in-depth stuff. Very, very good. But again, all content that can be resourced elsewhere. The battle reports, like I say, very good. They know their stuff. They don't waste any time. Each battle report lasts about an hour or so. They don't waste any time. They get on with it. They are clear in what they're telling us that they're doing. The overlay and the graphics that they use to help the battle report make it look better are good. They are good. It'll be interesting to see how much of that content we see going forward. I think, unfortunately, they'll probably roll that out based on what's likely to be released the following week. So if they've got a release for Grey Knights, you're probably going to see a Grey Knights battle report that week. So, but hey ho, you know, they've got to promote. But yeah, so far so meh. Not much content, but the content that is on there is good. So let me know what you think in the comments. Are you subscribing? What do you think of this launch? And what do you think about what is potentially coming next? Let me know in the description. Sorry, let me know in the comments. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, you want to see more of this sort of stuff in the future, drop a subscribe and I'll see you very soon.